Hey there, thank you so much for joining me today. I have Elliott, and he is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Elliott, let everybody know how cool and awesome it is in Myrtle Beach.
Man, this place is so cool. I came down here for vacation in 1998. It's been a long vacation.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. I imagine there's a lot of us Californians looking to call South Carolina, more specifically Myrtle Beach, home.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What is our biggest adjustment when we move to the area? Because you guys are beachfront, right? You guys have a nickname for what it's called there, right?
It's called the Grand Strand.
Like an East Coast word, because we call it the beach,
Yeah.
but you guys call it the Strand. I don't know that we
Call it the Strand. Some people call it the beach side. You know, interesting thing about the Myrtle Beach area is it's exploded with no interstate. There's no interstate coming in here.
What? It's just
So,
straight to get to the beach, right?
Right. A lot of things are attractive, but the main thing that's attractive about here is the property taxes are low, the cost of living is low. A lot of people don't get far enough into the conversation as to why that is, but my personal opinion is because Myrtle Beach, as far as pricing, and a lot of people go, man, this real estate market's exploded and the prices are going crazy. But in the Myrtle Beach area, my personal opinion is we're just now catching up to the rest of the coast, like Florida and Georgia. The prices, because we have no interstate, so I think that's why. But we're getting to the point now we have an intercoastal waterways.
Okay, I am from California. I'm sorry, I don't know what an intercoastal waterway is.
Okay, the intercoastal waterway, it runs parallel with the coast. It's a waterway that boats use to go up and down. So you can literally travel from, Maryland all the way down to Florida via the intercoastal waterway. It's a reference point in talking real estate. Okay, anything west of the intercoastal waterway, your insurance is going to be less likelihood of a hurricane, et cetera, et cetera.
Hurricanes. Now that's another thing we Californians have a hard time with, because I have heard and learned from y'all's channels, all of my Southeastern agents that I chat with, praise the Lord, you guys are helping those of us Californians, like, what's going to happen when we get there? But what I've heard about a hurricane is that it's like being chased by a turtle. Am I right?
The past couple years, they've moved really slow. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was some moved really fast, but especially last year, my wife and I were, they had this hurricane that came through a couple years ago, and we were sitting here, and finally we got so bored we got and drove around in the car, and by that time it was here.
How long have you been serving the Myrtle Beach area?
Well, I had my license back in the early 2000s, and I let it expire in 2009. I took a hiatus in the nightclub business, and I came back in 2016.
You just like taking tests, so you wanted to just do it all over again?
I must be glutton for punishment.
So back to this intercoastal waterway. So you're telling me that I can get from the Grand Strand just a little bit inland, and then I can get all the way down to Georgia and Florida.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. Boats are being purchased today.
Yeah, and there's a lot of our luxury homes are waterfront on the intercoastal waterway. They have electric docks where they can raise their jet skis or boats up and down. There's one place in North Myrtle Beach, it's called Barefoot Landing. It's like a big development that's got housing and shopping and dining, and there's some yachts over there that people live on the water, so it's a whole thing.
So this Grand Strand is basically like, what'd you say, 60 miles of Disneyland-ish, touristy, hotel-y, activities, blah, blah, blah. Do people live there, or do they work there and then they live inland? Is that how it works?
Both. Each, for example, we've got Myrtle Beach. Just north of that's North Myrtle Beach. Just north of that is Little River, which is almost like a fishing town. They got a couple casino boats, and then but every section all the way down has got its different personality, so to speak.
And those are, I presume, the nicer, the $1 million listings are all coastal. Yeah, that's usually the way it runs.
For the most part, like I said, there's some on the intercoastal, and then there's some subdivisions that are just designed from the ground up to be really nice.
Speaking of from the ground up, are you guys having a lot of new construction happening out there?
Well, we're having a ton of new construction, but I'll have to go ahead and say that the dollar amount for luxury here in this area is probably $1 million, whereas not near as much as it would be for California. So
speaking of $1 million properties and what we can get there from selling here, if I sell here, say in Bakersfield, I can sell a $600,000 property. What does that look like when I move to your neck of the woods?
A 600,000 single family would be 3,500 square feet up. Nice community.
Good Lord. Here's another question. What is the industry that I'm going to be in? Like if I'm not working from home, I mean, I know Starlink, I guess, is moving to South Carolina and they're moving to Montana. Starlink's going everywhere. Is that what's bringing people there? Like what is an industry that's going to help me afford that price point of home?
I honestly think it's not mostly, but a good bit of it is the fact that people are working more from home, one. Number two, the cost of living is cheaper. And a few of the people that we work with that are coming from California are investors. They're just looking for investment properties.
Sure, because like you said, the taxes are insane. Because you have a different set of taxes, if I understand it, for your main home, and then the tax rate is different when it's an investment property. California, we don't have that. Tell me about that.
It's about 3 times as high, but it's still not expensive probably compared to you guys. For example, I've got a 1,500 square foot house on an acre and a half, and my taxes for the year, my property taxes are about $500.
What? Say that again?
$500.
Holy crap. But if that was an investment property, what would that tax rate be? Because it changes, right?
Right. For example, last year I bought the house next door to me, and it's about the same apples to apples, and it's just under $2,000. Still peanuts compared to probably what you guys are used to.
Ours is a percentage. It's a percentage of the sales price. It's supposed to not be able to go higher. So I presume you've helped a lot of Californians move there, right?
I helped a few, and I got
favorites.
I've got to be honest, my wife is more the buyer's agent than me, but yeah, a handful. My mom is born and raised in a little town in North Carolina, about 45 minutes from here. And I just helped her sell a piece of property that she inherited. And the real estate agent I got to be good friends with, she said the exact same thing. These people are coming here from California in groves.
I just spoke with Will Friedner from living in Montana, and he said Californians kind of stick out like a sore thumb in Montana. Like, they're putting bear spray on like bug spray, and I guess bear spray is like ridiculously like 10 times worse than pepper spray. Are the Californians sticking out like a sore thumb in South Carolina there?
I can't say I've noticed that.
Oh, praise the Lord. We're not.
Yeah, I get along with everybody.
Well, that's good. That's good. So by the way, when you're not selling real estate, where would we find? Would we find you on a boat at that cool waterway? Would we find you golfing? Or would we find you? We wouldn't find you at your old bar, would we?
Without elaborating too much, I might be in a small way and still invested in it. But if it's in the summertime, then yeah, we've got a tri-tune and we go out on the intercoastal. We love going out there. And if it's in the wintertime, which is starting to get cool now, our favorite thing is go camping. We've got a motorhome. Boat in the summer, motorhome in the winter.
Love it. So where do you tend to go when you're motorhoming?
We love state parks because, that's another thing that's becoming popular is camping in RVs, and in the big commercialized places the campsites are matchboxed in, but like a state park or a national forest, you're in the trees, you feel like you're in the wilderness. So that's what we like. So
Bakersfield and our surrounding areas is, I would say just under 1 million. Like Bakersfield, the community itself is probably 500,000 to 600,000, and then our surrounding areas we kind of bump up into the 900,000 people. It still feels very small town here. Like I know that sounds like a lot of people, but it's kind of a 6 degrees of separation here. Like somebody knows somebody that works with somebody, and so when there's like a small business that somebody is starting or that has been around for decades because it's a local family that everybody knows, everybody just goes there to support them. Is that something that happens in your community as well?
Okay, as far as the big small town, I think that's true with a lot of tourist areas because you've got the locals that are there full time and then you've got the tourists. I don't know if you know this, but 2 of the biggest vacation weeks, so to speak, here in Myrtle Beach are spring and fall bike week. We have a huge bike week that brings in 400,000 people plus.
Pedals or bikes?
Motorcycles.
So they're coming there. There's an event there twice a year?
Yep, there's an event twice a year. And like I said, you've got Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Little River, but going down south, the next town south would be Surfside, Garden City, Murrells Inlet. Well, Murrells Inlet is like the epicenter for the bikes. Some of these bike weeks, we have 400,000 bikers coming in. So get back to your question. Yeah, the locals, there's not as many of us, but we're used to all knowing each other around tons and tons of tourists.
I love it. Like once everybody goes home, you're like, okay, that guy stayed. Okay,
yeah.
we're still here.
And I'll tell you what, I'll add one more thing to that. Myrtle Beach is, in the past 10, 15 years, has gotten to the point where it's almost a year round. Like back 15, 20 years ago, there's certain stoplights that would blink yellow in the wintertime. But now, you've got the tourists that come in the summer. You've got golfers that come in the spring and fall. You've got snowbirds that come in the winter. You've got golfers. We've got more sports events. We've got Mustang Week, Bike Week. So there's always something going on.
What is Mustang Week?
Same thing. People that are Mustang enthusiasts.
Mustang the car.
And then there's car shows. There's a ton of events.
Oh, that's awesome. You're closer to the border of North Carolina. Probably do get a lot of Northerners, right?
Yep. And there's a lot of people that own vacation properties that they just use for themselves. They'll come down from Charlotte or Wilmington just for the weekend.
And so how has your market been? Have you, besides being inundated with people from California and New York and New Jersey, have you guys gotten whiplash in the last 6 to 9 months with whoa, everybody's slowing down a little bit, or are you guys still on fire?
Well, we've been on fire for 2 years, and it has leveled off a little bit, but it hasn't just slowed down like slamming on brakes like a lot of parts of the country, simply because one, people are coming here from different parts, and number two, it's a tourist destination. And another thing is, I would tell you this, and I'm sure it's like this with any real estate agent, if the market's bad, the market's always hot with us, because in the Myrtle Beach area, you've got between 5,000 and 6,000 real estate agents. But if you really go in the MLS and look, it's the same 150, 200 agents that are doing all the business.
Right.
So if you've got there and get it, it's there.
So if somebody is selling here and they want to potentially buy either a home there or an investment home, they're going to email you, but then they could potentially you have a large team of people that they can be served by. Am I right?
As of right now, this very minute, we've got 12 people in our group. Matter of fact, my wife is in the top 2% of the whole company. She's what's called an icon agent. She's one of the top buyer's agents in the state of South Carolina. Then we've got people that specialize in different parts of the beach. We've got one guy that specializes in investment property. So we've got just a little bit of everything.
I love it. And that's what people want. Like when I'm selling here and I'm handing out my people to you, I want to make sure they're going to be loved on and given to somebody that knows exactly, no, we don't want a single family. We want, we want to make this an Airbnb, or we want to, this is going to be, we're going to put this on VRBO, whatever. Or we want it to be just a long-term rental. Is your rental market really high there as well?
But I was going to say that's a good point, because, obviously being an oceanfront town, we've got a lot of buildings that are high-rise oceanfront buildings. Some of the buildings allow short-term, some don't allow short-term rental, and you've got to have this memorized where you can think on the fly and have experience and know these buildings. So yeah.
It looks like it might be a hotel, but it's really a bunch of oceanfront condos that you can own.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, here in South Carolina, they've got a term called condotel. It's where each individual unit is owned separately, but the building operates like a hotel and has a front desk.
And a pool and all the fun things, but it's oceanfront.
Right. And it's got a whole different stipulation for financing. So yeah, I'm sure every part of the country's got their little quirk, but that's one of the ones here. So yeah, we can handle you if you come here. Myrtle Beach and South Carolina in general is a great place to live. So people aren't leaving here because, man, this place is terrible. This sucks. So either most of the time they're moving away for work, or, a lot of the sales that I do are people that are upgrading or downsizing.
And so they're going to Florida, and then do they ever come back? How does that work?
Yeah, a lot of people, like I was saying, a lot of people come down here from New York and New Jersey, and some of them go, it's like a hot place to go for vacation is Florida. And then they'll move halfway back, which is Myrtle Beach, and we call them halfbacks.
I love that. I'm a halfback.
You're learning all kind of new terminology.
I am. I don't want to stick out like a sore thumb when I come visit. I want to be cool and no. It's hard enough being a Californian these days. We don't need to add anything to the misconceptions on who we are. We're just trying to have, go spend some money in a place that lets us be free. So we're all about it. That's cool to have that fun little name.
We can show you all the real estate. We can take you on the waterway. We can take you to the nightclubs. We can take you everywhere.
There is nothing else to want for when we reach out and work with you. You got it all going on. I love it. Are you on TikTok and Instagram?
Yep, I sure am. It's my first and last name, Elliott Serral, and then my YouTube, serral.tv.
I love it. And that is where we're going to find out a ton of information about the area, because you have videos covering, I think I was watching one, you were talking to a cement guy. Then I think I saw you on, it was either Instagram or a YouTube short where you were talking about some oceanfront and somebody took a really bad picture of a jacked up tree right in the middle of the view.
But that's true. That was on the Intercoastal Waterway, but you never knew it because that stinking tree was in the way.
Well, I'm excited for anybody that wants to sell here in California and potentially call South Carolina home or have an investment there, right?
Absolutely. Make you some money. We can make you some income.
Well, praise the Lord, we like that. Thank you so much for taking the time today and coming on my channel and letting people see just how awesome it is to potentially move to Myrtle Beach and check out that Intercoastal Waterway and not be a standout weirdo Californian. We want to be cool when we come there. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Elliott. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for thinking of me, and let's do it again.
Yeah.